Okay, folks, I'm trying to record agency tapes. They are attacking me, delaying me beyond belief. I'm lucky if I get one or two cassettes copied a day. On the first day, I got 5 cassettes done. And I was remarking to myself, wow, this is so easy when I'm not being affected. And then what they did was day by day, they raised this technology for affecting me. And it got to the point that it was just impossible. It feels just impossible to get these cassettes. And so I'm getting one or two done a day. It's just insane. Anyhow, here is a cassette. It is titled Horvat's Lies, Stories, and Techno #3, and this is side B. So here we go. I've got to get back to recording agency cassettes. And by the way, they're affecting those. I go off on these long tangents. It breaks the flow. It's not how I'd normally do these cassettes. Quite literally, my agency history tapes are 18 cassettes. What do I tell you? They most certainly are caught. Uh, by anybody sitting down and listening to all those cassettes, you get a real feeling for Horvat and her officers and how they really are and what they're like. But 18 cassettes is a whole hell of a lot longer than it would be if I was not being affected and if they weren't affecting me to go off on these long tangents. They're also affecting my intelligence and my mental markers of how I want the cassettes done to begin with. It's just insane. On the bright side, all the information is there for making sure they're caught. So the point is, I got to try and shorten them. So anyhow, here's the cassette. I've got to get back to recording history tapes, agency cassettes, and then I've got to record conversations. I've got to record my recorded conversation tapes for agencies, and I got to remove long sound bites from those. So anyhow, here's the cassette, and hopefully you can hear it.
And why this was happening so much, I had it memorized for life. Hoping for December of 2009. They were attacking me every minute of the day, minus a few hours here and there. Every minute of the day. And I will always remember it nonstop. Satanism bullshit. And of course, Satan, Horvat's not Satanist. She doesn't begin to be. It's just unpleasant. But this beside, usually when they make the Satanism bullshit, something heavy and extreme happens. A pet dies or a person dies. And again, this whole story, the Satanism thing, I might as well cover it here. Horvat and her officers had a big plan for trying to scare me with Satanism. They started up with this, and from the beginning, I was like, it's bullshit. If you were, you would have brought this up a long time ago. And then I was like, well, you obviously got this idea from when I looked at the computer, and I was finished with it. I caught them, they were busted, and, I was like, that's it. And I shut up, and then what Horvat decided to do, she didn't want to throw away all her plans, all these clever plans they had with the Satanism bullshit. So then they began forcing the issue with technology. And this is how Horvat is. She's like a rapist. She has abuse of power issues, just like a rapist. And again, if you don't know it, rape is a power issue, not a sex issue. So she wasn't happy. From the beginning, they got caught and busted by me, and I was like, well, that's it for your whole plan of Satanism. That's in the toilet. And Horvat was not happy about this, so they forced the issue with technology anyhow. And they used technology to force into my head a technology viewpoint that they are Satanists. So what do you see on and off throughout my journals and calendars? That they are Satanists, and it's all bullshit. No, Horvat's a psychopath. She couldn't be a Satanist if she tried. She couldn't be a team player if she tried. She's not even with the CIA. And quite literally, in my eyes, I don't identify them as being with law enforcement. And that's just based on the reality and the experiences of me and my family. But the point is, we're back again pushing the issue. Because they had all these plans for scaring me with it. And they didn't want to throw it away. And this is how Horvat is. And she sticks to her plans no matter what. She does not take no for an answer. She is just like a rapist. And again, you see it on and off throughout my journals. I believe it. And in reality, I don't begin to. Again, my viewpoint's very reality-based. And, this idea that Satanist is just total bullshit. As a point, I was going to contact this writer in England, and I did contact him, and he knows a lot about Satanists and all sorts of crazy things, He's very conscious, and I began contacting him, and sure enough, they had me believing that they were Satanists all over again, because they wanted to screw around with my head and his. And again, I don't begin to believe they're Satanists, and it's just this reverse scripting. That's my term for where they push in technology viewpoints and technology emotional states. But the point is, when they start talking about Satanism, all the time and nonstop, which is what they did in November and December and January and November and December of 2009, and then January and February, basically January of 2010, leading up to the knife attack, which they created with technology. It always means, they do that, it always means that something heavy is going to happen. And they killed our bird in December 2009 and then created a knife attack in February of 2010 because Horvat's angry. She's angry that she's close to being caught. And, they didn't have her cover up all the way prepared, obviously, and they're trying to scare me away from doing it by killing our bird and then creating this knife attack. And it didn't work. I put it in my book instead. And, but the point is, Horvat had plans for scaring me with Satanism, and it never worked. And rather than just throw away all their plans, she just goes through with it anyhow. And again, she had plans for scaring me with Satanism, so every time I hear about Satanism all the time, it means somebody's going to die, a pet's going to die, a person's going to die. And again, all throughout January and February of 2012, non-stop Satanism. And you hear it on my older cassettes from the end of January and February. I kept saying to the Bakia on cassette, you're going to get more people killed. And sure enough, they killed our neighbor on March 2nd. And again, based on how heavy they were being, as I will get to in February of this year, I was expecting them to, in January, I was expecting that they were going to kill somebody again, or, make another knife attack, attempted murder or murder in February of this year. And Horvat does yearly themes, and what she will do, and many times, she will keep the same theme from year to year, but she will move it by up to 1 month. And, in February of 2010, there was a knife attack on February 5th, 2010, and then this year she just moved it by about 1 month and did a murder on March 2nd. And again, only a difference of 1 month. They see this consistently throughout my journals and my calendars. It's undeniable. I could make this up if I tried. And it's obvious. You can see these yearly themes. You see their system of innuendos. You see that they have themes that they like doing. You name it. It's undeniable. So again, for January 6th, I have written down ache all day and extremely tired all day. Death threats all day about killing someone I know. And this was going on all throughout January and February. Horvat was trying to condition me into not being worried at death threats. And she's trying to take my edge off and trying to desensitize me to death threats so that she can get away with killing me. And she wanted to do it in such a way where she's telling me she's going to kill me, and then I just ignore it, and then they actually kill me. And so I was fighting this off, and there were days in January and February I was receiving more than 500 death threats a day, and on the heavy days, 1,000. Quite literally more than 1,000 death threats a day. And at this point, I don't have this all throughout my journals. It's the kind of thing you just remember for the rest of your life. This was going on non-stop all throughout January and February of 2012. This was happening every single day. It's why I don't have it. There's no need to write it down, and I couldn't begin to write down every time I received a death threat. That's the point. You remember that for the rest of your life. November, December of 2009. January of 2010. Nonstop threat. I was saying nonstop threats and nonstop theme of Satanism. Of course, Horvat officers, they aren't Satanists, but it's unpleasant, and it was going on nonstop, and I was being attacked every minute of the day. In regards to Satanism, Horvat had plans for scaring me with Satanism from the beginning. I pointed out to them that I understood everything. It was all bullshit, and I pointed out to them how I knew. And They shut up for a little bit, and then Horvat just began pushing the issue with technology. They didn't want to scrap their plans. And so they just go through with their plans anyhow. That's exactly how Horvat is. And that's exactly what she did.
Horvat is anal retentive. Once she makes up her mind to do something, it has to be her way. It has to be. This is why when she tries to set me up for destroying my family, for screwing us up, traumatizing us, I pull a rabbit out of my hat. I can predict them. Again, listen to the tapes. The point is, Horvat will come back at me with the same theme, the same idea. She will, quote, try to win on this point. If she's lost before, she will always come back with the same damn thing all over again. Point and period. And because she has to have it her way. She's not normal on this point. She's extremely obsessive and anal retentive beyond belief. It's an abnormality is the point. Back to the tape.
And that's exactly what she did. The point is, when I start hearing about, non-stop Satanism, it always means that something big is going to happen. People, pets are going to die. Something big is going to happen. And again, that's why, I hear me saying these cassettes I made at the end of January and in February 2012. I kept saying to the big guy on cassettes, you're going to get more people killed because I knew something heavy was going to happen. And, I saw that they were acting weird, that they took the technology all the way off of my girlfriend. I wondered about that. I knew something bad was going to happen. And sure enough, they killed our neighbor on March 2nd. And, look at all of this. It was non-stop Satanism and death threats all throughout January and February. It was the same way in November and December of 2009 and January of 2010. And then they committed this knife attack. They remote controlled this guy into attacking his girlfriend. Look, you guys look at that article, and you'll see she was stabbed more than 20 times, as I remember it. She wasn't meant to live at all. It's a damn miracle. And again, this is what they do. Non-stop death threats, non-stop Satanism. Somebody ends up dead. They killed my daughter's pet bird in December of 2009. And then they remote controlled this knife attack in February of 2010. Look at the patterns here. It's not a coincidence. There's no being delusional about what I had to listen to and what I went through. They were quite deliberate and obvious and sadistic in regards to killing our pet bird and everything else. It's undeniable. There's no argument here. There's a clear cause and effect here. And there is a clear pattern here. And, I couldn't make this up if I tried. And, I've got tons of documentation here, and there's all sorts of stuff like this in my journals and calendars. Okay, for January 8th, held in scripted fight, a techno argument. And I got held in for this, and by Horvat standards, this was small, by the way. I got affected, my girlfriend got affected, my daughter got affected, and we three were all arguing. And I got held in mobbing because of it. And again, we all got affected, and there's no question of it. Horvat has these things all prepared ahead of time, and as usual, I get affected, my family gets affected, and I get held in over something that they are responsible for and that they have made with technology. There's no denying it. You feel your consciousness being altered, and your emotional states quite literally being altered and changed with this technology. There's no being mistaken about it. There's no being delusional about it.
It's the result of who and what we are dealing with to begin with. And again, there's no being mistaken that Horvat is a psychopath. Nobody is looking at this woman's goddamn profile. They're being tricked, misdirected, suckered, and they're absolutely misfocused on stalking. Furthermore, they're not asking questions because of stalking. That's not accidental. It doesn't begin to be. And everybody is hung up on Horvat's job title instead of looking at her psychology and what kind of person she is. I could not make this up if I tried. It's why my girlfriend is so terrified. It's what my daughter knows in one sense. Of course, we've all experienced this heavy, extreme misuse of technology. And again, none of it is a coincidence. It is the result of Horvat being a hardcore psychopath to begin with. And then you ask yourself, what would she do with this technology to avoid being caught?
It's real simple. If you think about this in terms of the mafia, this goes a lot quicker and easier if you understand these people are dangerous to begin with. And instead, everybody is giving Horvat and her officers the benefit of the doubt. And the reality is, they are cheap killers. They're just absolute punks. Horvat is a psychopath. And people are hung up on cheap appearances. And this is how Horvat gets away with everything. It's why I say she hypnotizes people. Because people are looking at looks instead of looking deeper here and being more focused. And again, it's not a coincidence. Horvat stopped my book for 2 years for cooking up all of this. There's no denying it. You feel your consciousness being altered and your emotional states quite literally being altered and changed with this technology. There's no being mistaken about it. There's no being delusional about it. In this case, and many other times, most of the times, it's done without our energy. And the point is, I got held in with techno. Look at the early years of the history tapes. My girlfriend is a witness to many times where I was held in with techno, except I thought it was evil space aliens. And I was having instant personality reversals like this. Quote, instant anger, just like with my daughter at the age of 2. And again, Mother Mary's a witness to that. My parents are a witness to this one night that an evil ghost held me in and made me all instantly honest, like that. And I spoke to my parents about that. Again, the last day of my hello? None of this is a damn coincidence, and it sure as hell isn't delusional. There are witnesses to this repeatedly. And again, here, at this point in time, January 8th, 2012, they held me in with techno, and this has been going on for years. The end tests for mobbing have been about me having to try and find out what these spooks are up to with this techno, me trying to catch them, misusing this techno for holding me in, and, preparing my family in regards to them trying to hold me in with techno, and trying to affect them and me at the same time for holding me in. I've got tons of these. Horvat calls them cheat sheets. I write down these sheets of paper, watch out for Motsku, end test, possibly this day, or this day. Watch out for Motsku, spooks and techno. May try to make us angry, may try to make a coup fight, what have you. I've been writing these things down for years, and I've got these sheets of paper, reminders to me and my family to watch out for spooks and techno for holding me in on the last day. I've got these going back for many years. They're all over the place. And these were reminders to me and my family that they will try and hold me in with techno. It's got nothing to do with mobbing. And my family and I would be conscious and aware of them misusing this technology on the last day. There's no being mistaken about it. Horvat was doing this without our energy funds. And again, just taking sadistic on Horvat. She was enjoying it. And again, all three of us were conscious and aware the last day and watching out for spooks and techno. And I was still getting held in. But again, these cheat sheets, as Horvat calls them, I've got years of them. I've got these cheat sheets going back for many years. And it's all about these agents trying to hold me in with technology on the last day of my life. And again, look at the history, the early years, the history, and look at what my witnesses know. And look, there is a history with witnesses of me being held in on the last day with techno. It's just that we didn't know it was techno for a long time. We thought it was ghosts and evil space aliens. Spoke out to my parents, Mother Mira, and my girlfriend. They're caught here. And again, they did it on January 8th of this year. And as a point, I have written down, quote, small for Horvat. Held in, small, cood argument. Again, cood is our word for techno. And again, you see me using this word all throughout my journals, cood, Motsku, coup, all throughout my journals and calendars because we have been using it for years on end. Go figure. It comes from my daughter's children's book. Back before we even knew that it was techno. Back when we thought it was a ghost around our flat. Hello? And then you people are blaming me and acting like I'm delusional. Again, hello? And I say you people, obviously not your people at the Bay and Day, not you listening to this cassette, but you get what I mean. So if you hear me misspeak on these cassettes, just understand what it is I'm saying and communicating here. Now, it's January 9th. They kept me awake all night with techno. And they had also been making threats against my daughter. That's not what kept me awake. Those were two separate things. I couldn't even get my sleep because I need to be, I need to have my energy for keeping an eye on these scoops in the first place. I'm not stupid, and I'm very self-disciplined, and I have a lot of self-control. And, they kept me awake, received threats against my daughter, about them doing something to my daughter with technology. And I have some notes written down about this technology and ways in which it was being misused on me. They are attaching incorrect feelings with particular thoughts. Quite literally, Horvat officers, instead of letting me feel the way I would normally feel in regards to particular thoughts, what they began doing is attaching incorrect feelings to thoughts that I would have. And again, it doesn't begin to be normal. In other words, I think about something happy, and then maybe they're pushing in feelings of being angry and stuff like this, just to totally screw me up and to torture me. And look how my feelings were not fitting my thoughts many, many times. Hello? Another note I have written down is they're blocking particular thoughts. They have a computer program as a point. I come up with good points which show the truth of Horvat officers and the fact that they're lying and manipulating. And they have a computer program that senses that I have a good point against them. And it just blocks the thought, and they end up getting to keep this point, and I no longer remember what it is. And, this way Horvat officers are able to hide the truth from agents and agencies and all people I deal with. And they're blocking all sorts of thoughts all of the time, and they're still doing it just to screw me up and to make it look like my memory's not good, and they're attacking my memory because my memory's beyond average. They're doing the same thing with my daughter and with my girlfriend. They're doing it differently with my girlfriend and daughter. It's like they don't remember whole portions of history here. It's like they don't even remember the past. It's really weird. It's what I call subliminal scripting. And, again, we're all being affected in this way. In regards to me, they're doing it in many different ways is the point. Another note I have written down is they're preventing communication, to prevent the giving of information. And again, they're sitting on my willpower and desire to contact agencies and let them know what's going on. I was trying to get the information to the BKA, and they wouldn't let me get these emails done, and they were sitting on me and affecting me heavily to not communicate with the BKA. And in fact, I did call them several times, and I'll be getting to that very shortly. Because here I'm speaking of January 9th, and on January 11th, I did call the BKA. Another note I have written down for January 9th is they were sitting on my willpower heavily. My willpower and desire to call up the BKA and to let them know what is really going on. And, to get this work done for agencies as well. They try and, they sleep deprive me, give me full body arthritis, very painful, hurts to even walk. And at the same time sit on my willpower and my desire to get information done for agencies. And you guys need to know what's going on. Look at everything they've been hiding. And this is how it was, and it's how it still is. They are still quite literally attacking my willpower and my desire to do this particular cassette as a play. They are affecting me right now with a feeling of lightheadedness and confusion. And, I've got to push through it to be able to do this cassette. And, it's what they've been doing the entire time. Since I approached the BKA back in November of 2011. It's been a whole year. Your agencies have no idea how heavily I've been attacked and how heavily they've been trying to keep me from getting the information out by attacking me heavily with this technology. And it's not that I'm delusional. That's what they sold to agencies so that you don't care. The point is they are really worried about being caught. And the reality is they are attacking me heavily so that the information doesn't come out. Because they have something to hide and they're worried about getting caught. They're dangerous, they're filthy, they're corrupt. And they know that you don't know that. I know that. You guys have no idea what's going on. So while you guys think it's all a game and I'm delusional, the reality is they are attacking me and affecting me heavily so the information doesn't get out because they're worried about being caught. That's the whole point. And then they create situations between me and my neighbor for misinforming her and for manipulating her and agencies. That is it exactly. And so, there are many different things going on here for tricking agencies, and you guys have been clueless the whole time here. Okay, here's January 10th. Please pay attention. This is actually a very important day. My daughter is a witness to this day, and it's very important. It proves an important point about Horvat and her officers, and the fact that they are misusing this technology on other people. And this involves a little girl, and friends of our family. And there's an entire story here. I'm going to collect my thoughts and then get to this. Okay, first of all, on my calendar, I have Gina, quote, feeling sick at school. About 95% of the time in my journals and calendars, if I have quotes around something, it's a reference to technology being misused. That said, I remember this day very, very well. These agents were giving innuendos, and it involves the type of innuendos they were giving. They always use these innuendos for when they are doing something to me with technology, and then doing it to my daughter at the same time. It is a particular way of doing things to me with technology, in a particular way of giving innuendos, in which I know that my daughter is being affected with the same thing at the same time. And I was home. I was laying down on the sofa. It was very early in the morning. I have a morning job. I deliver newspapers. I come home. I see my girls off, my daughter off to school, my girlfriend off to work. I lay down and go to sleep. And very early in the morning, I had not really gotten to sleep yet. They began giving me gastritis. I don't know if you know what this is like, but it's very heavy and intense. It feels like you need to throw up from your gum, from your intestines. It's not normal. It doesn't begin to be, and there is no throwing up that feels like this. This is heavy, extreme, and intense. It makes you just turn white and start sweating like crazy, and it's heavy. It's hefty. It's not normal throwing up. It doesn't begin to be. Normal throwing up, having the flu where you throw up, all of that is a cakewalk. All of that is easy compared to gastritis. There's nothing in the world like it. It's just totally, it's total torture, and it's just pure suffering. So they were giving me innuendos, and I thought, of course, they're doing it to my daughter, and I quite literally got up off the sofa, got the phone, and put it right next to the sofa so that I could grab the phone quickly if I needed to, and which I expected. I expected I was going to be getting a phone call. Quite obviously, that's why I took the phone. And based on the way that they were affecting me, excuse me, and the type of innuendos they were giving. There was no question in my mind. They had been doing it for years this way, and every time it means that they're affecting my daughter in the same way. Whatever they're doing to me with techno, when they start giving those kinds of innuendos, it means they're doing it to my daughter at the exact same time. This has been going on for years, so there's no being delusional or mistaken about it. Not at all. It's just like the stalking. Once you're in the stalking, this mob, you know the signs, you know the smell, you know the flavor. And for somebody not in the stalking, they might say, oh, well, you're crazy. You're talking about this guy coughing and turning his hat sideways and doing this and that. And that's all normal. But, the reality is, for the target in mobbing and stalking, you, of course, you know that it's not normal, and it's going on. Right in front of people's faces. It's the same thing with this technology in the way that they misuse it. You know the smell, you know the style, you know the flavor. And of course, the other end of it is, Horvat never been subtle about misusing this technology in the first place. She is sadistic, and she gets, a good feeling, fulfillment. She's sick, and she gets enjoyment out of the fact that she is doing it. And, she likes rubbing it in my face and my family's face that she's doing all this stuff and getting away with it. So there's no being mistaken here at all. So the point is, here's the deal. I never got a phone call from the school. And, I wondered about that. Quite obviously, they were giving me gastritis, and it was pretty heavy and intense. I didn't have to throw up, but they took me, they got pretty close to where I had to throw up. And as soon as my daughter got home, I ran to the doorway, and, before she had her set off, but she didn't even have her jacket on. And I asked her, I said, did you get sick today at school? Did you feel sick today? And she said, no, but Gina did. And then I began asking her questions, and because I started to look to see if Gina had been given gastritis. And, And she said, no, but Gina did. And I asked her the time, and she told me around the time that it happened, it was the same time that they were making me sick with gastritis. And I asked her to describe what Gina said and what she looked like. And from the descriptions, I've got news for you. Gina had been given gastritis, and she'd been given gastritis with this technology. These spooks just did a little misdirection, and they changed their pattern here, their habits, and their pattern of behavior. Instead of targeting my daughter for once, they did it to one of my daughter's friends. Now, the other end of it is Horvat cannot stand this family. Horvat hates this family. Horvat hates the daughter. Horvat hates the father. And Horvat hates the mother. And they've been doing all sorts of things to this family. This woman's been getting heavy backaches when I'm given heavy backaches. This woman's been getting heavy headaches when my daughter has been given heavy headaches by Horvat officers with this technology. Again, there's a whole story here about Horvat officers giving my daughter headaches all of the time. And real heavy ones, migraines and that. There's a whole story to it. And again, there's no being mistaken. And it's been going on a long time. And, you know, again, my daughter didn't even have all her school stuff off. And, I said, you know, did you get sick? She said, no, but Gina did. And my daughter's a witness to all of this. She said that Gina turned white, really, really white, had a feeling of having to throw up. And yet, it's all gastritis, man. And it was Horvat officers, and they weren't being subtle about it. In fact, they were hinting that they were doing this, I thought, to my daughter, and in reality, they were doing it to Gina. And my daughter is a witness to this. And my daughter, like me, her memory is exceptional, and she will, of course, remember this. Horvat's been attacking my daughter's memory really heavy, just like she's been doing to me and mine. And again, Horvat does to me what she does to my daughter. And they do what they do to my daughter, they do to me. This has been a nonstop team with Horvat officers. What they do to me, they do to my daughter, and vice versa. And since this time of this cassette, I have a cassette with my daughter all about this. You see, once again, the theme of my daughter's memory being affected. You hear this over a course of a year and a half here, and because I am a concerned father, and I see my daughter's memory being affected heavily. Furthermore, I see that when this happens, it is reflecting a theme and time period that happens all over again in 2013, which is when I got the soundbite with my daughter about her friend Gina, and her friend Gina was affected at school and affected very heavily. Back to the tape. To me, right. And again, Horvat does to me what she does to my daughter, and they do what they do to my daughter, they do to me. This has been a nonstop team with Horvat officers. What they do to me, they do to my daughter, and vice versa. And on this particular day, they did it to Gina instead. And my daughter will remember it, and again, her memory is being affected heavily, just like mine, because she has my gift. She has a very good memory. It's not normal. It's way beyond average. And so Horvat's attacking that, just like Horvat's attacking my memory. There's no question that my daughter will remember it. The only way that she won't is if she's affected with technology. And again, if you interview my family, you come out here, you're going to have to wiretap Horvat and officers and wiretap my family. And again, you'll see Horvat and officers affecting my family right in front of your faces, the faces of your agents, and you'll see them wiretapping your agents so that they can be on the inside. And again, based on the performance of the Bacon, they have found it looks like they allowed themselves to be wiretapped, that they got themselves wiretapped. And again, as I know now, if you give out an email address or a personal phone number, they can locate your address and they can wiretap you. And, sure as hell, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like people at the Bacon, they have found got themselves wiretapped. And it means Horvat officers have been on the inside of German agencies, investigating and looking at things, and Horvat officers have been spying on your agents at agencies as they have looked at the information and contemplated what's going on. How intelligent is any of this? You guys need to be dealing with this in terms of spies with this technology doing a cover-up and who will do anything it takes to avoid being caught. And instead, everybody's acting like this is about mobbing. And because I was affected heavily, so the agents were tricked into believing that I have a profile involved with mobbing. And you guys have been lied to and manipulated and tricked and it doesn't begin to be about mobbing. And my so-called profile was just mind rape and a heavy misuse of this technology on me. To convince you of that. And as a result, spy agencies quite obviously have had their guard down from the beginning, and it looks like they got themselves a wiretapped. Just absolutely stupid. So again, if you come out here, you're going to have Horvat officers wiretapped from the very beginning. It's real simple. And again, it'll be the shortest investigation ever for, the most corrupt and dangerous people, that most people have encountered in their entire careers. It's guaranteed. They've tricked two agencies at this point. Quite obviously, this is all going to be a big shock once, somebody finally does get to the bottom of everything here. And again, Horvat officers, you got to look at it from their perspective. They will affect me and my family in front of your agents' faces because they've got no choice. That's the whole point. And the other end of it is they will wiretap your people. You got to look at it from their perspective. They would be absolutely stupid to not do both. And so it's a guaranteed way of catching them. They have to take the chance that you are not watching. And, it's a guaranteed way of catching them. That's the point. Now, for January 10th, I also have written down, you can always tell it is Horvat. It is always weird big fights over nothing. Later you think about it, or when you do, it makes no sense. And when you think about it, you realize it was weird. Of course. And these are the situations where it's done with your energy print, what have you. Again, we had a fight that almost destroyed my family in May and June. We had several, which were all done with techno. They reverse scripted us, made us all totally opposite, and we ended up fighting over something that's so small. There's nobody in the world that gets in fights over such stupid stuff. And this small, stupid stuff almost destroyed our family. And they took the technology after doing this, making us all totally opposite and even scripting words out of our mouths. They then took the technology all the way off of me and my girls. My girls were traumatized. It's real simple, it's not hard to figure out, don't you think, that if you were made opposite with this technology and then it's taken off of you, don't you think it would be noticeable? Of course. Part of the problem here is I think that a lot of people at agencies can't identify with what it is I am communicating. You got to really think about that. We're talking about being made opposite. There's no being mistaken about it. So again, there's no argument here, and there most certainly is not. There is no being delusional about it. Okay, I've got to add a note here. I'm not going to redo all of this. If Gina, the situation with this girl, Gina, who was made sick by Horvat or officers who was given gastritis, that was on the 10th of January, and I think I may have misstated it as January 9th. If that's the case, it was actually January 10th. And again, my daughter came home and I checked with her the whole 9 yards. And again, that was January 10th, not January 9th. I have some notes here from January 10th. What do you expect me to do about it? I am contacting agencies. Again, anybody in these circumstances would be contacting agencies. It's quite clear that agencies have no idea of what's going on. This has been the case for many years, and I've been saying this to my mom and my girlfriend for many years, that German agencies have no idea of what's going on, and that they would want to know. Horvat officers had my mom and my girlfriend, they misuse stalking and had them say discouraging things to me and scary things, like you'll be arrested, nobody's going to believe you. And again, I just pushed past that. I knew that my girlfriend was terrified. She's absolutely scared of Horvat. Simply by the realization she's different than me. She, of course, reacts from fear. It's a totally different story for me. And I knew that my parents had been tricked. And so simply based on that, I just ignored them. And, of course, I knew they were both doing stalking. They're both saying this to me at the same time. And, of course, it's all bullshit. I know that my girlfriend knows what the truth is. Yeah, she's saying this, so, of course, she is doing stalking. I know that my mother is just done beyond belief here. Of course, look at the words coming out of my mother's mouth. I just ignored that, and I began trying to contact the Bakian all the way back in 2006, and they would simply affect me and get me to not contact the Bakian. It's one of the biggest regrets of my life, but what I tell you, it's not my fault. As to this technology being misused. So back to the tape. And again, look, if if you're paying attention, they're misusing this technology strategically so that they're not caught. So back to the tape. Girlfriend for many years said German agencies have no idea of what's going on and that they would want to know. And Horvat officers had my mom and my girlfriend, they misused stalking and had them say discouraging things to me and scary things, like you'll be arrested, nobody's going to believe you. And, my book was my intelligent solution to making sure they're caught. And, you look at a situation with a knife attack and, many other things as well, actually. I spoke to my mom about contacting German agencies.
By the way, just so there's no confusion here, that was not the thing that stopped me from contacting the BKA. On the contrary, I got the context of the situation. My girlfriend's afraid, and she's going along because of this, and my mother's stupid, and so she's just doing more about stalking. There's a difference between the two, and I didn't let either one deter me from trying to call the BKA. What would happen is that they would affect me with technology. And, the last time they did this was quite literally in February of 2011. And you'll note that I knew who to contact. I knew to be contacting the BKA, yet only a couple of months later, they affected me. And quite literally, you see me contacting wrong agencies. Quite literally. So if you want proof of my being affected heavily, there you are. Back to the tape.
Many times. And, I never said anything bad about German agencies. I always spoke to them as being good guys. And my girlfriend and my mother are witnesses to this. And why? Based on reality. And, they affected me with technology to not get me to speak out. And they got me to stick with this whole book idea. And, of course, there were times that I thought about calling up agencies right away. They just affected me with technology to get me to not do it. And look at it from their perspective. Let's see. We can affect him and not be caught. We can affect him with technology so that he does not contact German agencies, and we can avoid being caught, or we do nothing and he exposes us. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to do exactly what they did. They affected me with technology and computer programs for not getting me to contact German agencies. This went on for years. I spoke out to my mom and my girlfriend for years about contacting German agencies. And, also after this knife attack, eventually, after Horvat took this technology off of me, that must have been months later. I in the end speaking out. And spoke to my mom and my girlfriend about this. Hello? And, again, they discouraged me and they just sat on me. And I ended up just going with my book and decided, well, I'll contact German agencies after my book is done. And my book was to make sure that they were caught. I've seen them get away with tricking everybody. Instead, they stopped my book for 2 years and they figured out a way for doing a cover-up. And they were ready and prepared for my contacting the BFL. They got me to contact the BFL instead of the BKA in the first place. They also had me sending material off to the Creepo at first. Excuse me. And then I realized they were the wrong people. And why? Because they stopped affecting me with this technology, supposedly. And they affected our search engine and me once again. And I ended up contacting the BFL instead. And again, I spoke to this guy at the BFL. He asked me, why are you contacting us? I didn't understand his question. I said, well, because you're a domestic spy agency. Now I get his question. They had affected me with techno is the real answer. And I had no idea. I had no idea. And again, they were prepared for all step by step, bit by bit. They've been affecting me heavily with technology to keep me on their schedule.
Their computer, I could not find the BKA at all. I typed in Germany's version of the FBI. I typed in, 100 different things. The BKA never came up. They were non-existent. And they affected me and finally got me to think that the BFL was the correct agency. And again, it's absolutely impossible. The last time that I had almost called the BKA was quite literally in February, multiple times in February of 2011. And quite literally, only months later, they had me contacting two wrong agencies. It's impossible.
Back to the tape. And I ended up contacting the BFL instead. And again, I spoke to this guy at the BFL. He asked me, why are you contacting us? I didn't understand his question. I said, well, because you're a domestic spy agency. Now I get his question. They had affected me with techno is the real answer. And I had no idea. I had no idea. And again, they were prepared for all of this step by step, bit by bit. They've been affecting me heavily with technology to keep me on their schedule. They have computer programs for better lying and manipulating, for finding out all the holes to their lies before they've even told them. They come to me and they say, hey, we're going to say this. What do you have to say to that? And they try and force answers out of me. Because why? Because they're worried that I will find holes to their lies, which I do all of the time. They've learned the hard way. So now they have computer programs for finding out where all the holes to their lies are before they even tell them. And this is why their lying looks so airtight. Look at how it's all being done. Then they support their lies with the techno manipulations, techno soundbytes for supporting their lies. Again, the whole thing's been planned out ahead of time and prepared ahead of time by a matter of 2 years. It took them 2 years to cook it all up, and they've just been tricking agencies all the way. You guys need to be thinking in terms of spies doing a cover-up with this technology instead of a target in mobbing pooping out and going crazy. Again, none of that was mine. It was these spooks and techno. It's real simple. Now, January 10th, I have written down 4:15 p.m. My daughter's home from school, and they started making her not feel good. They started making her feel sick when she got home from school. And spooks and techno, man. It's been one of Horvat's favorite things. I brought my daughter up with the belief system that if you don't believe in getting sick, then you won't. So my daughter, like me, was only getting sick once a year. And Horvat saw me looking at this in typical Horvat fashion. 2 to 5 days she began attacking my daughter, making my daughter sick. And this became a constant theme. And it still is. They attack my health all the time now and my daughter's. We both get sick all of the time. Doesn't have to do with us. Doesn't have to do with our belief systems. Doesn't have to do with the health of our bodies. All that has to do with Horvat and our officers and this technology. And I've noted it all the way. And, Horvat does it in her typical style. She sees me think about something, her officers do. And then within 2 to 5 days, sometimes even 1 day, a matter of 1 day, they begin using this idea for attacking me or attacking my daughter or attacking my family. Or all of us, And again, they do it very quickly within a matter of days, just to rub in my face that it is them. And the correlation is unmistakable. I was just thinking about how good my daughter's health is. And then all of a sudden she gets sick. So then I keep my eyes open, and then she gets sick again and again and again. And it's obvious it's spooks and techno. And same thing with me. This is how they do it. 2 to 5 days is the constant rule here. I can't think of a time when it's been more than 5 days. It's usually in 2 to 5 days. Many times it's 2 days. On a few occasions, it's been within 1 day. And again, this whole story about them making my daughter sick all the time, and the same thing with me. And that's where the idea came from. They got it from me. They got it from watching me and my observations of my daughter's health. And the fact that I brought her up with the same belief systems as me. And again, if you don't believe in getting sick, then you won't. It's real simple. People who are familiar with this technology understand what I'm saying totally. They get it totally. It's all about electromagnetic energy and power of the mind. It's all about my belief systems, which I've passed on to my daughter. So Horvat's been attacking that. And again, look at how Horvat does it. She does it that way to be deliberately obvious, to rub in my face and my family's face what she's doing and getting away with. And of course, in regards to physical illness, I don't tell my daughter. But I've scripted stuff out of my mouth before to my daughter and my girlfriend that I normally wouldn't say. That's different. I've done that normally here. The point is, I have always known this, and I've known why. And the way that Horvat does it is quite intentionally obvious. She likes rubbing in my face what she is doing to my little girl and getting away with. She attacks family and people she doesn't like, and she attacks love, and she attacks relationships all of the time. Horvat's sick and sadistic. And this is why they've labeled me as being delusional and as a difficult target, because they don't want you knowing the truth about Horvat and her behavior, because very quickly you will realize she is a psychopath. So I told people at the Bay of Found 1 hour of interviewing my family, and it's finished for Horvat officers, and that's why. That's why they've come up with, quote, I'm delusional, and that I am, quote, a difficult target. And those are both lies right there, so that you don't understand and realize all sorts of things. on the 11th of January, I had written down that I called the BK on that day and told them that I'd be sending the info on that day or the next day on the 12th. And this never happened. What Horvat and officers did is they were still affecting me heavily with this reverse scripting. They were pushing in viewpoints, not mine. And my email, quite literally, was spiked and repeatedly, and it was a huge mess, just like the letters to the Bay of Fowl. And what they did is that they took off some of these ways that they were affecting me with this technology to show me how heavily this email was spiked. And in reality, what I understand now is that Horvat officers were worried by a lot of the information in this email. As a point, I had a list of technology tactics and points about Horvat officers, but most of it was about how they lie and manipulate, but most of it was about this technology and tactics they used on me when I was in contact with the BFL and, for affecting me. And for part of 2010 also, and even before I contacted the BFL. And what I realize now is that they didn't actually want me getting that information to the BKI. Based on the information in that email, there would have been all sorts of questions raised. And so what they did is they took off some of these computer programs to show me that they had affected me. I reread the email one last time, and I saw that it had been spiked. I had been affected heavily. We're talking about viewpoints pushed in that aren't even mine. Emotional state.
Okay, folks, that's it for that for this cassette and video.